fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn, do. What's wrong with my volume lately? I'm just all volumed out. Good morning, people of planet Earth and me in my purple room. How are you? Today is, I think, Wednesday. Feels like a Wednesday. Feel kind of humped, like a hump day. Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, and my nose is itchy. Good morning. How is everybody? How's life? Okay. I just my mojo is gone again. Somebody grabbed my mojo and ran off with it, and I'm just I have no energy for any of this stuff. It's been one of those weeks, and the bet is whether or not today's guest will show up. Now, I'm betting probably today. Paul, Paul J is with us, and he says his booking agent is a I think it's probably the same one that I use quite often. Yeah, if you got a text from him at 7:30 this morning, I know it's the same one because I got a text from him at 7:30 this morning. Good morning. Just so my guest didn't show up Monday or Tuesday. Yesterday, there was a time zone issue, and that shit just it pisses me off that we don't have a better understanding of how time zones work. I mean, our schools are failing us. It was a young man who was supposed to be on yesterday, and I'm not mad at him necessarily. I'm mad at the world for making it difficult for people. Is it really that difficult, though? I mean, an hour every 1,000 miles is what it is, folks. An hour every 1,000 miles. Figure it out. The excuse, I had the wrong time zone. So that was the excuse yesterday. I don't know. Monday could have been my fault. Could have been his fault. I don't know. He thought he was scheduled for Thursday. I thought he was scheduled for Monday. I'm pretty sure I had it right, though. So today, Corbin Lemaster out of Springfield, Missouri, comedian who is a traveling comedian, will be with us at 10 a.m. Dean O'Hara is supposed to be my guest host today. I expect him to show up somewhere at 9:30 this morning. What's going on in the world? Well, me personally, just feeling like so tired. I need a vacation. I definitely need a vacation. And it's not just the fact that I've been gigging like crazy lately. Again, 5 gigs last weekend between Thursday and Sunday. And again this weekend. Now, Paul was just alluding to his booking agent being a putz. A lot of confusion going on there lately, and calls coming in. Can you do this? We've already told you can't do this, can't do that. But this weekend, starting again Thursday night, then 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday, and then 1 on Monday, 1 Monday afternoon, right after my morning show. Well, not right after my morning show, but so it starts all over again. It's exhausting between doing that and doing 2 shows. I'm not complaining. Believe me, I love playing music. The traveling gets to be people. I'm not traveling country, nationwide, but still driving. I got gigs that are 2 hours, 2.5 hours from here, even on this island of Long. So it's tiring, and then doing 2 shows a day, and then when the guests don't show up, and I gotta talk for 2 hours about what? I don't fucking plan on this shit. I plan on having a conversation with somebody, and if they're not there, that means I just have to keep rambling for 2 hours. It's not a comfortable thing. Thank God Carl was here yesterday. So they did a watch along stream yesterday. Carl and Jamie and that fellow with the high voice and the gray hair from Nashville, Brett Broccoli or something. Brett Broccoli, and they were watching Predator, and maybe it's a generational thing, but for me, it's just like watching old movies, like all different time sync. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I wish them well with it. I hope it takes off. I guess it, but but nah, but I don't get it. There's suffice to say that I don't get it. My generation is clueless, I guess, when it comes to that stuff. Like, why would you want to watch movies online with people online in different places and react to it? You know, first of all, if I'm going to watch a movie, I don't want anybody talking anyway. Don't fucking say a word. You say a word, you're going to get a slap. That's you. I'm talking about you. You're going to get a slap. You, right up there. Yes. Don't talk during the movie. Yeah, it was fun. You liked those, but now you're going to get a slap too. Kelly. Good morning, Kelly. No, you're not really going to get a slap. Anyway, what's going on in the world today? Well, there were primaries yesterday, and not that anybody gives a fuck about primary elections. You know, unless it's in your state, you probably don't care about this. But the thing that I'm sorry to beat up on you, Republican people, but the thing that my biggest takeaway from yesterday, these fucking Republicans are crazy with the voter fraud allegations, even against their own party now, because primaries are within your own party. And whenever anything doesn't go their way, every Republican candidate falls back on the rigged election. It's voter fraud. It's all, no, you're losing, stupid. You that's how it works. You lost. But they don't see the danger in playing that game. Because if you can't trust any fucking elections, if you can't trust the elections, then even if you do get elected, you can't be trusted. But they don't see that. And they're just going to play this game anytime. They're playing it against their own party. Anytime things don't go your way, you're going to call foul. This is what we all grew up with, somebody who was like that in playing games when we were children. Somebody who was never out, no matter how obviously or by how long a distance they were out. No, that's fair. I was safe. No, you weren't safe. You're a lying little whining fucking pussy. This was Donald Trump, and he taught the entire Republican Party to follow in that. I don't fair. I won. You just want to slap all of them. Speaking of slapping Republicans, well, they deserve I guess, a little bit of credit for about facing on their fist bump. If you're not familiar, a week ago, the Senate Republicans voted down a bill that would care for vets who were victims of pit burns, toxic pit burns, exposure to toxic chemicals. You send your veterans off you send your warriors off to fight a war. They expect, part of the agreement, that you're going to take care of them if they get fucked up because you sent them to a war that wasn't their making. And this is what happened. So there was a bill, the pit burn bill. Burn pit. I say backwards bill. And because they just didn't want to see the Democrats get a win in any sort because it was a Democrat-sponsored bill, they voted it down, and then they fist bumped on the Senate floor. Ted Cruz led the fist bump. Yay, we fucked the veterans just to own the libs. This is the party that claims to be pro-military and all that. So their excuse was there was so much pork in that bill, pork in the bill, pork in the bill, pork in the bill, pork in the bill, that they had to vote it down. And if you read the bill, there was no pork in the bill. And Jon Stewart was very quick, John, Jon, yes, I know, was very quick to point out that there was no pork in that bill and held their feet to the fire. Show me the pork in the bill. And they couldn't because there was none, didn't exist. So they did, most of them, many of them, enough of them to pass the bill, did an about face and voted for it. So basically admitting they lied the week before, that basically they were just screwing veterans to own the libs the week before. But now they've done the right thing, except for a few assholes, one of them being Rand Paul, who came out and made a speech about, well, they could have got sick anywhere. We don't know they got sick from the war, so why should we have to pay for it? Really? They got exposure to toxic chemicals that only get used in a war, and it could have happened anywhere? I mean, this is Rand Paul. It's such a... And you know what? Politicians are skeevy people to begin with, but Rand Paul, it doesn't get any lower than this guy. So he's one of them. Mitt Romney was a no vote for Veterans Aid. Why? Why are you, we spend trillions on killing people in wars that really, do you know why we're fighting in these wars? Oh, you can say, oh, 9/11, man, 9/11. Yeah, no. 9/11 was a singular attack that did not require a war for retaliation. And you can see that because the end results don't require, like they just killed the number 2 guy in the number 1 guy now in Al Qaeda after Bin Laden. Most of those guys they killed without the war effort. Those were single strike efforts. They wasn't no protracted 20-year war was required for any of that. So why are we actually fighting those wars? But so you're spending trillions on those wars and not taking care of the people who fought them and making up excuses because, oh, well, it's too much money. Too much money. Maybe you should have started that before you started sending kids to get killed for your meaningless fucking political games. The show, your dog and pony show about how to keep America safe. Are you any fucking safer because we went to war with Afghanistan and Iraq for 20 years? Are you any safer? I'm so sick of these fucking people, man. Politicians. It is what it is, so. But that's the state of America right now. So the bill passed, and the veterans, and thanks to Jon Stewart for stepping up for the vets and using his influence in a very powerful way, in a good way and a powerful way. And more people who have influence should be doing that. But we don't see that to be the case. I just got distracted by Twitter. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I wonder if Dean's even awake today. Dean is supposed to be my co-host. Dean would usually be here by now. And he said he's been getting up at 5 or before 5 every morning. Maybe not this time, though. Let me see what's going on here. Well, it looks like Jackie's back up and around. He's doing a radio show today. If I would have known that, I would have booked him on here for today. Anyway, what else is going on in the world? Well, baseball, the trading deadline has passed. Um, any big news there? Well, any big baseball fans? The big story is Juan Soto going to the Padres. Now, I got baseball fans in my friend lists, and lots of them. And basically, they all react to everything. Like somebody said this last night about Mets fans in particular. And Mets could be up 27-0, and the pitcher walks. This is his dumbass analogy. Mets could be up 27-0, and the pitcher walks a batter, and all of a sudden, all the fans are like, "Oh, the season's over." Well, my experience is just the opposite of that. The Mets could win 2 games in April, and their fans are organizing a World Series victory parade for them. That's my experience. I mean, quickly to jump. So with the trade deadline passing, Juan Soto going to the Padres are now assuming they're in the playoffs and going to make a World Series run and hopefully win their first World Series. All because they made some trades yesterday. Good trades at the deadline, but you know what? The games have to be played. You have to see what happens. People react to one little thing at a time. I'm just seeing here Ted Cruz proud to support the PACT Act and all our nation's veterans. Now, Ted Cruz is the guy who fist bumped, defeating the very same bill that he's now proud to support. Unbelievable hypocrisy. Somebody's got to, this has got to come back to haunt these fuckers come election day. Fist bumping. I'm sorry to go back to the story I was just on, but I'm just seeing Ted Cruz is proud to support the PACT Act and all our friends, all our nation's veterans. You were proud to vote it down last week. You were fist bumping over it. Now you're proud to pass it, to vote for it. Fuck you. This crazy woman who is running for Congress in New York. She's like the typical New York girl with the potty mouth. Who am I to judge with that? But not what you expect from a politician, which might be an appeal for her in New York. But people just saying "fuck" and grab them by the balls and yeah, that's right, baby. She's running against AOC here in New York. It's just silly. It's just silly how ridiculously over the top caricature of a New York dope this woman is. Jesus died is trending on Twitter this morning. Jesus died. Now again, I came back to. I don't know how you know that. I don't know how you know that. How do you know that he even lived? And of course, if he lived, he died. But how do you know he even? Jesus died is trending for some reason. Jesus died so we can all fill animal stomachs with plastic, and God has his way. What? Jesus died because Republican Christo-fascists crucified him. No, that's not true. Actually, the Romans and the Jews crucified him. And I'm not blaming the Jews. The Jews are not the scapegoat here. If anybody wants to get on my hate mail list, Jesus died for our sins according to that which the Scriptures foretold, and that he was buried and he was bodily was raised to life on the third day according to that Scriptures. Yeah, well, I got a storybook that tells you that about a bunny that comes. I don't know. So Jesus died is trending on Twitter. I don't know. Looks like I'm going to have my friend Lisa Polizzi on. I should look at dates available for her. Now, I introduced you a little bit to Lisa yesterday. Lisa is, as I was mentioning, I was talking about it when I was rudely interrupted by a raid by the guys who like to watch movies. I don't know. Carl and Jamie raided me yesterday morning in the middle of telling you about my friend Lisa Polizzi. Now, Lisa is and was and remains the hardest working young woman in show business. She she's the lead singer and put together 4 different bands, one of them being a Janis Joplin experience, where she is Janis in a tribute situation. She books all the bands, she puts them together, runs all the rehearsals. A lot of work. People don't understand the work that goes into that. So about 3.5 years ago now, I was producing a show for her for my Roku channel, which was like a documentary behind the scenes called Being Lisa Polizzi. And I shared some of that on my Twitter feed, and there was some interest in that and some really nice comments on YouTube, supportive comments of it for a 4-year-old show, not 3.5 years. But people were impressed by it, so I'm going to be having her on the show. Just looking for open dates because I just contacted her a few minutes ago. Probably what is that? Oh, that's this week. No, we don't want that. Looking at next week. Maybe Friday. No, I have. No, I have Friday. I've got a lot booked up. The week after. Maybe I'd have to have an extended program one morning because I'm running out of dates to fill in the morning show. I could always bounce one of these suckers. Oh, Friday the 19th might be good. Friday the 19th is looking good. That's what I'm gonna propose to her. Get her on Friday the 19th. Wow. So I'm back on that again. Oh, I just lost that date. I could take that date off the calendar. There you go. Boom. Gone. Good morning. My wife is waving goodbye to me. Good morning and hello and goodbye. Hello, I must be going. I'm glad I came, but just the same, I must be going. Now, Beyonce, uh, she has this new record out. Don't ask me what the name of the fucking record is. People make a big deal whenever Beyonce drops a record, and last week she did. But then there was some, I don't know, words used in one of the songs that they wanted to edit it out. So you're already outselling the thing, and now you got to go back and edit it and repress stuff. But yes, there was enough outrage, and I'm so sick of the word police. Enough outrage to make her go back to the studio and edit out. I forget what the words were. It was spaz. Spaz was the word because it was considered ableist. Now, there's a movie called Grease where there's a character named Spaz, and he's not a disabled person. And I don't know. I'm being quite completely honest here. I don't know, and I know some mean ass, stupid people. I really do. I've never met anybody who used the word spaz as an insult to a disabled person. Never. Spaz is generally used for an able person who's just, like me, very uncoordinated, very goofy, 2 left feet. Stop being a spaz. I've never heard it used to insult a disabled person in my life, and I've seen some really bad and ugly behavior from people. That being said, and word police is just word policing and telling people what they can use in their art. So she used the word spazzing in one of her songs, and caused enough outrage that she has to go back in and re-edit the edit audio. Now, with that kind of money behind you, it's no big deal, I guess. But they already did enough pressings and enough product out there, enough packaging, printing, and all that kind of stuff, that it is a significant cost and waste of material, and there's still gonna be copies with the original word out. Word policing. We've gone way too far with word policing. You gotta let people, the First Amendment has to mean something. And if you disagree with it or you find it hurtful, don't buy it. Don't patronize it. But to organize and say, you have to change what you're doing because we are so upset you use that word. This is a bad place in America. Well, Dean's here now. I don't know. Is he ready? He looks ready. Yes. I'm going to bring him in and include him in this conversation. I'm sure he has a different perspective on this than I do. Good morning, Dean.
Hi, how's it going? Good morning.
It's going good. Do you change your background there? Something looks different over there. You got something? No?
I didn't change the background.
Huh. It looks a little different.
Maybe the angle's a little different.
Yeah, whatever. It looks nicer. It looks more contrasty today.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
what do you got? You got a baseball hat, not a fangold cap on today.
The baseball hat's for a German football soccer team, St. Pauli.
Uh,
It's like a left-wing team from Germany. Used to follow it when I was in Germany.
how has your week been going, man?
Good, I got a DJ gig lined up next week, next
I-
Friday.
In the city?
In Brooklyn with Tony Conqueror at Rise Radio, 57 Graham, also on Twitch.
Wow, good for you, man. You're rocking out now. You're a rock star. Well, a DJ star. Video
Well,
too.
I'm doing it. I got a good time
Yeah. Do
Friday
you,
night.
do you do a lot of talking in between, or are you just one song into the other?
One song to another, no talking.
No talking ever?
I don't talk, no.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
you should.
Yeah. I want to get your perspective on this thing. Now, the word spaz, offensive to you?
No, not really. I
No.
never really thought of it that way.
Yeah, I've
I
never.
think I've said like spazzing out too, probably in reference to myself.
Yeah, like I people have said it about me, so I don't think it's an ableist term, and I don't think it's ever. Again, I've been around a long time. I've never heard anybody use it to insult a disabled person. It's always meant as somebody who's fully able-bodied, just being a dork, like I can be. Just I'm uncoordinated sometimes, and sometimes have two left
Most
feet.
people say like that even like morons like ableist, and if you look at the history, maybe it
Yeah,
was.
but
But
the overall the trend of just word policing, like getting so hypersensitive about this word isn't. First of all, you got to be listening pretty close to even pick out the word, right? And then so somebody's listening to this album saying, "What words is she saying? Oh, that's offensive. That's offensive." And then organizing people to actually say, "You need to change this." It's crazy. It's a crazy time we live in. I mean, how are you supposed to create anything if you have to be so
no,
sensitive
I
about
agree. I mean, there are words I don't like. I don't like the word cripple. I don't. I mean, I can use it about myself. I can call myself a cripple motherfucker, sure. Um, I don't like the word gimp. I don't like those words.
yeah,
But that's a
but if somebody used them, would you be organizing, like if it was in a song somewhere, would you be organizing people to protest against the record company and the artist?
no.
That's the point I'm making. It's just like, you know what? If you don't like it, just don't buy it. Don't listen to it. It's pretty simple.
I'm
But
just a little bit fuzzy today, don't I?
yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Um, Um, the other thing that came out now with that same album, Monica Lewinsky. Are you familiar with that? Beyonce's controversy. Monica Lewinsky wants her name removed from one of the songs because Beyonce used her name in one of the songs. Now, Monica Lewinsky, 30-year-old story now, is when she
You're
was
gonna
in
get
the
me in
news.
trouble.
Huh?
You're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I mean, so people are she's reacting. She wants her name taken out of a song. Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I agree. As much as, and I'm not. I think Monica Lewinsky was the first person in history. She's kind of like the poster child for cyberbullying, where people just got on somebody, and when the internet was brand new at the time, and like they just dragged her through, all of she was just made jokes of constantly. Television and the internet was just new then, and newspapers and all that. So she was slut shamed. Slut shamed.
Oh,
She's the original poster child for that. So I do have some sympathy for that. But you can't tell people, you can't, if you were in the news, you were a public person, you can't tell people
no,
they can't use your name in a song. So
no, that's too much. Yeah.
yeah. So our guest today is Corbin Lemaster. He's from Springfield, Missouri. Have you checked him out at all? Do you know anything about him?
Well, I checked out from the little blurb you sent. That's what I did.
Yeah. He seems to be a traveling guy, a road warrior of sorts. I mean, he's maybe not doing L.A. and New York, but in the middle of the country, there seems to be hitting some clubs around there, and seems to have been more established. I'm just wondering if he's going to actually make it here today, because the first two shows this week, because
No, what have people been doing to you? It's ridiculous.
now, well, how would you handle that? How you got any advice for me on how you would handle all the no
I
shows?
would probably not be happy about it. I don't know if I would ask them back
Yeah.
personally.
Well, with my nighttime show, because that's authors usually most often authors trying to pitch their books, and if they don't show up, I got mad enough about 6 months ago where I said, if you don't show up, you can reschedule, but there's going to be a rescheduling charge, because there's work I have to do, promotional work, setting up the buckets and all that stuff, setting up the the schedule within the streaming apparatus and all that stuff. So there's
I
going to be
know,
a
right?
recharge, like a restock fee. If you want to reschedule, yeah, you can do it, but you're going to have to pay me for my time now because you fucked me once.
Yeah, people should like show up when they say they're gonna show up. That's what
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah. I forgot to reach out to Billy Wayne Davis last week, but I know basically what's going to happen with him. He's going to tell me, yeah, holler
No,
at
he
me
might
next week.
do it when I mention. I'm the one who mentioned the thing on Twitter for him to do the Instagram Andy thing, and that
Yeah,
happened. Yeah, you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah. So I'll
So he
reach out.
might,
I'll reach out to him today, and I'll CC you on it, and say, we got to get you on the show, and we'll definitely make it so on the day that you're co-hosting. But
yeah.
don't expect it to be anytime soon, because he'll blow you off for like months. Like, yeah, holler at me next week. Holler at me next week. Holler at me next week.
The issues with anything happen fast, though.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Uh,
don't know.
are you following the Stanhope 30 Days in a Hall thing?
Yeah, I'm watching that. Yeah,
Are you up current with him? Because I saw one last
he's in
night, and
Africa, right? Yeah,
did he fall off the wagon?
yeah, I probably fell off the wagon.
Yeah, well, flying will do that to you. Flying is a very stressful. If you're trying to avoid cigarettes and drinking, maybe not the best time to fly. Flying
The
is
flying really makes me want to have a cigarette
right.
too.
Yeah, yeah,
There's no cigarette like after a flight cigarette. That's the best cigarette ever.
yeah.
That's the number one.
Rogan. Rogan told a story about Norm Macdonald. He was by chance sitting next to Norm Macdonald on a flight, a cross country flight, and the whole flight Norm was telling him about how he had quit smoking, and that's all he was talking about. And then as soon as he got off the plane, he saw him at the luggage thing, and Norm was lighting up a cigarette. He said, "Norm, I thought you quit." He's like, "Yeah, all this talking about smoking got me back in." Yeah, so. Yeah, cigarettes are a hard thing to quit. You ever smoke? No, you
Yeah, I
never.
smoke. Yeah,
No.
I do smoke, but I smoke like 10 cigarettes a day.
Mm,
Kind of doing for that. I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty. Most people who smoke will do a pack a day, easy or more. Why? Why? It doesn't seem like that's a hardcore habit if you're only doing 10 a day.
Well, I enjoy it.
You
Yeah,
do?
so I do.
And that's one thing I never got. I never got tobacco. I'm a cougher. I will hack. Anyway, um, what's going on? Any like thing of interest going on up in the Bronx up there? Anything interesting or newsworthy
Well, I
or?
gotta have a colonoscopy on Friday.
Oh my God! First
Yeah,
one?
first one. Yeah.
Oh, that's not a fun experience at all. So,
Well,
Friday. So it's still too early, but I think tomorrow you stop eating, right? And you got to
then
start,
stop eating and
and you
yeah,
start drinking this kind of whatever it is, that weird stuff.
laxative or
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That's not. There's got to be a better way to detect ass cancer than making you go
I
through that
know,
whole.
right?
We got to come, because there was this movement, and I don't know what happened to it. A full body scan where you just go into this thing and this machine, like an MRI type of thing, would do a complete body scan and they could detect cancer anywhere in your body. That was advertised pretty heavily on terrestrial radio here last time I listened to it, which was 15 years ago or so. And that was all the rage in New York. It's the full body scan to detect cancer. I don't know why they can't use that for colon
No, I
cancer.
think I've had a full body scan, but it is still doing the same thing.
You think it's just kinky, weird doctors and nurses just enjoy doing colonoscopy?
I don't know. There was this one girl who put her finger up my ass.
Yeah, and they love that. They, I tell you, one time, I had a gig the night before, and I was, in those days, gigs lasted till 4 o'clock in the morning, and I got home at 5 or whatever, and passed out on the floor in my living room, and I woke up in the morning, and there was a lump on my wrist.
Oh
And
no.
I was freaking out, like, what the hell is this lump on my wrist? And I'm thinking, can cancer grow that fast overnight? I got wrist cancer overnight. It's a tumor. I don't know. I was young and stupid. Uh, so I went to a doctor, and I'm not a big doctor guy. I went to the doctor, and I showed him my wrist, and I told him that story. And he's doing everything. He goes, okay, drop your pants, bend over, bend over the
No.
bench, and you see him putting the thing on his finger, the rubber on his finger, and he's sticking his finger up my ass and all that stuff. And I was like, I hate that stuff, man. I'm so uncomfortable with that. But
That really
he
necessary.
goes, okay, turn around, pull your pants up, get back. And so I did, and he's telling me, I seem healthy and all that stuff, and just go walk into a physical report on me. I was like, okay. What about this? He goes, oh, that's a ganglion cyst. Just bang it on a book, it'll go away. Bang it on a book, it'll go away. I was like, are you
I
fucking
know.
ganglion cyst? It's just something it's ganglion is a fluid, and it just builds up, and you can just
England.
bang. Yeah, you bang it on something, and it goes away. It breaks up. I was like, why did you need to stick your finger in my ass to determine? Because I just came for this thing. You could have just said, oh, just bang it on a book, and I could have walked right out. You felt the need to have me bend over and stick a finger in my ass just because.
Yeah, totally unnecessary.
Yeah, just wanted to do it. Just wanted to do it. Anyway, yeah, so we got about 20 minutes. I'm going to play my sponsor's ad today. It only takes a couple minutes here, about 2 minutes. True Fire is the sponsor here today. True Fire place to learn guitar online. You play any instruments, Dean? No, you just play the
Well, I can
turntable.
play a little bit of guitar.
You can?
A little bit. Yeah, I took lessons as a kid.
Cool. And you own a guitar.
Yeah, I have one, yeah.
Acoustic or electric?
Acoustic.
Cool. Cool.
It's a Yanima. It's a Yanima. Then it's not
Now,
that one.
do you play reggae on the acoustic guitar or no?
No, I play stuff that's more close to like old timey country or something.
Dig it. I dig it. There's nothing wrong with that. Old timey country. I love it. I love it. Well, True Fire, you can learn to play any style. This is 2 minutes and 2 seconds, actually. True Fire is our sponsor today. Learn to play, practice, and play online at your own convenience. They have some of the greatest teachers in the world, True Fire. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. 1, 2, 3, go.
guitar players worldwide learn, practice, and play with TrueFire. Our learning tools and massive library of video lessons will ignite your technical skills, harmonic knowledge, rhythm playing, and soloing chops. TrueFire's educators are the best in the biz, from Grammy Award winners to world-renowned artists. You'll have access to an unparalleled faculty of over 300 top-notch blues, rock, jazz, country, fingerstyle, and acoustic guitar educators. Using our desktop and mobile apps, you'll work with TrueFire's multi-angle video lessons on any device, anytime, anywhere. Integrated learning tools such as video synced tab and notation, slow-mo, looping, practice jam tracks, and many more handy controls accelerate your learning experience. TrueFire style-specific learning paths guide you every step of the way. Use our assessment tools to find your starting point, then follow our lesson recommendations and track your progress as you work through your personalized TrueFire study plan. Progress faster with private one-on-one instruction, group lessons, multi-track video jams, live streams, song lessons, student forums, TrueFire's Riff magazine, premium jam tracks, and much, much more. With thousands of 5-star ratings and reviews from amateur and pro players alike, you'll find yourself in good company with the world's most comprehensive guitar learning platform. Grab your guitar and ignite your musicality. Sign up free for an all-access trial today.
The hell is Carl saying? Mock the Week. I don't know what maybe it's a British thing. Mock the Week has been shit for 15 years. Your shit jokes will have to go elsewhere. This is Carl on Twitter. I don't know what that means. It's probably a British thing. You know about Mock the Week?
I have no idea. No idea.
Week as in week, not as in a 7-day week, right? Not like weak people or something. Mock the Week.
Not like weak people, but the week.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is Wednesday, August 3rd. Summer is going by. Are you big season guy? You summer guy, winter guy? What do you like?
I'm a fall guy, honest. I like it when it gets a little bit. You got the fog and stuff. You get the trees changing, and the smells.
I agree. Autumn is probably the nicest season weather-wise, or the beginning of autumn anyway. The first 2 months, like late September right through October, beautiful weather. It starts to cool off. It's really, and the leaves, all that stuff. But then it gets depressing. Guy like you who was prone to depression, and I am a little bit too. The seasonal affective disorder get to you at all? Like when light starts getting short?
When the winter gets really hard.
Yeah.
More in like February and stuff when it gets really cold. And This winter was really hard.
I don't deal with that stuff at all. I need a certain amount of light. I should probably be, I don't know, probably have 2 places to live, and then a little bit north of here in summer, a little bit much south of here in winter to get as much light as possible.
But when we lived in Mexico City, like there wasn't really any seasons. There was the rainy season.
Wow.
But it was sunny most of the time.
Now you've lived a lot of places, right?
Yeah, I've lived a lot of places.
What's the best place for you weather-wise to live, like all year round?
Weather-wise, maybe Mexico or Colombia.
You lived in Colombia?
I did, yeah.
Wow. Now, is Colombia a communist country?
No. But the Communist Party is pretty strong.
Yeah. I was thinking about that last night in terms of a lot of countries have a capitalist business system, economic system, but the Communist Party is very strong, or sometimes even the ruling party, and people think, well, it's a communist country because the Communist Party is the ruling party. It's not necessarily like Vietnam. The Communist Party is the ruling party there, but they're very capitalist. They're completely business oriented, and they're not state-run businesses. So that there's a big distinction that I think a lot of people don't get with that stuff. So, but it's interesting to me. Now, speaking of Colombia, last night on my evening program, I had a guy on who wrote a book called "The King of Miami" about a guy named Little Ray Thompson. Ever hear of him?
I have not.
He was a marijuana smuggler from Colombia, started in the 70s. Now, this guy compared him to Scarface, but he made his millions, he made his riches smuggling weed. And I never thought, when you think of drug kingpins and smugglers, I think of like heroin and cocaine. I never think of weed as like the big smuggle. And Colombia was the country it was smuggling from. Now, Colombian weed, when you were there, was weed a big business down there?
There was weed around, but
Yep.
it seemed like something else was more of a big business than that.
Right. But now in the world today, I think, we have good weed
Seemed like
grown in
something
America.
else, something
Yeah.
else was the main big business over there, not weed.
Right.
If you get my drift.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Now we don't need it anymore. We have good weed here.
Right.
We have the best
And
weed.
so that would have put that out of business. But at that time, they were running, according to this guy, millions of pounds of weed from Colombia to America. And this guy was like a one extra multi-millionaire off of the weed business. And to me, that was just shocking. And I thought, always you hear about weed being a gateway drug, right, to other drugs. Now, I don't buy into that, but I do buy into it from the dealer perspective, not from the user perspective. If you're smoking weed, it doesn't mean you're going to become a cocaine user. But if you're dealing weed, especially in a country like Colombia, where cocaine is a better cash crop, it seems to be a natural evolution. You're already smuggling. If you have to smuggle hundreds of thousands of pounds of marijuana, all you need to smuggle is like 1 ton of cocaine for the same amount of money, right? So it just seems
Yeah.
like a natural evolution. But according to the story, the guy never got into that stuff. But he got on death row for killing one of his best friends who robbed $600,000 from him, and basically took him out on a boat and shot him in the head, cold-blooded killing. Pretty wild story. Book is called the King of Miami, but I never heard of this guy before. Yeah,
Check it out.
yeah, I've heard of a lot of outlaws, criminals, gangsters, whatever you want to call them. I never heard of this guy, Little Ray Thompson. He did 15 years on death row, and in those days, when they convicted him, the death penalty in Florida was still by electric chair, because he got convicted in 1985. Electric chair, not by a lethal injection, but electric chair. You know what that entails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if I'd prefer that to like lethal injection. Maybe I would.
yeah.
Because it's not supposed to be fun with the lethal injection. You're paralyzed and you're in pain.
Yeah. Well, electric chairs got to be the most brutal way I could think of killing somebody. I mean, it was
Well,
just. I mean, you get on fire. Basically, is what happened. They put juice through your head and through your feet, and somewhere in the electrical, you got flames shooting out of your fingertips and all that kind of stuff. It's brutal, man. It's the most inhumane possible way to kill somebody. But it got repealed, and then, or he got, when they overturned the death penalty, I guess he was still prisoner for up until 3 years ago. Died in prison. Now, the guy who wrote the book, who was on the show last night, was telling me what a nice guy he was, and he became good friends with him. And he said he was a really nice guy, a really nice killer. He killed his best friend in cold blood. Can you imagine what it would take to take your very best friend out on the water and shoot him in the head at point blank range? no matter what so he sold $600,000 from you. That's a lot of money. I could not pull. I can't see and I've been guilty of losing my temper and being in a rage, being betrayed, all that kind of stuff. Can't imagine. Can you imagine
No, I
taking
can't imagine either. But like when your best friend betrays you, then it's kind of worse. The worst thing that can happen.
right? The whole thing
I
was
want to
stupid.
murder anyone, of course not.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, no. Well, the thing about betrayal, it never comes from an enemy. It only comes from friends. So if it's
That's
your bet,
true.
yeah, right. Uh,
The
but
enemy can betray you, no.
yeah, and I was thinking, have you ever seen the movie Miller's Crossing?
I have not.
Oh, you got to check that movie out. Miller's Crossing. Check it out. I forget who the director is, but Gabriel Byrne is the star of it, and Albert Finney is in it. It's about the Irish mob before the Italian mob in New York City.
Oh yeah.
And Gabriel Byrne has to take this guy out and kill him in the woods. A guy who was a friend of his, but he has to do a hit on him and take him out into the woods and hit him. And the guy starts begging for his life. Please, look into your heart. I beg of you. And he's on his knees crying. And like, man, now I cannot pull the trigger. And I was kind of thinking of that. Like his best friend comes out, you got him out on the water. He knows you're going to shoot him. It's just the two of you. He's got no guns. You got a gun pointed at his head. At some point, he's got to break down, start shitting his pants, begging for his life, and you still pull the trigger anyway. And you got to have a pretty cold heart to do that. No matter how angry, no matter how hurt you are by the betrayal, somebody saying, "Please don't kill me." Got to get to your heart, don't you think?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So, but then he comes and describes this guy as a nice guy, and
And then
he killed other people after that too. He didn't get convicted of those, but he was only convicted of the one
nice
murder.
guys, you gotta be careful.
Huh?
You gotta be careful of the nice guys.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what, and it's just the idea of such a nice murderer. Yeah, he's a murderer, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah. You may hold the door open to cut your
Yeah,
head off.
yeah, right. I gotta try and contact Corbin, make sure he's coming right now because we have about 8 minutes for him to be here. I don't want to get stood up again. If I get stood up again, I'm gonna be very upset. Um, so are
You
you
have
in?
to
Yeah, are
have
you?
Jamie Carl is like permanent, like a guest, so guest.
Yeah. Are you enjoying this whole guest hosting thing? And what do if so, why? What's enjoyable about this?
I do enjoy it. I enjoy like the conversations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, usually learn something, and that's what I get out of it. I that's what my hope for every show is that I'll come away with either some insight or opinions or stuff I hadn't considered before, or learn some new facts. All that kind of stuff is always interesting.
Oh yeah, in the conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what am I typing to him? Oh,
But
this is now.
you gotta get your guests to show up. God damn it!
Yeah, he's at his colonoscopy.
Oh, that's
Um,
what I do
I think
Wednesday.
I think you're supposed to do it every year now for the rest of your life. I don't. I mean that
Um,
was the thing when I turned 50. Oh, you got to do it every year. I was like, yeah, no. After one or two of them, you're like, I don't think I want to. I don't think I need to do that. Sometimes I think dying of ass cancer, it's got to be as much fun as getting a
well, I
colonoscopy.
having a problem, so whatever. I have to do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tom was in the crowd last night. In the chat room last night. He said he was commenting on last night. I didn't know this, but and this is something I want to bring up to Carl because when you're in prison like this guy was, they only give you one roll of toilet paper a month. To me, I'd have to be really careful with that because what happens when you run out? What
You got
happened?
some bad situation. You got to beg it from other people. What?
I don't know. Or you start to have to cut up your bed sheets. I mean, I don't know.
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
you start using your sock.
Yeah, and I'm the kind of guy who definitely has never been really cheap with with that stuff. It's not like I'm a
No,
bidet. It's something you have to consider. And I never really, and I know people who went to prison. I should ask them. Is that the case with everybody who goes to prison? You get one roll of toilet paper a month.
yeah,
Now,
actually, I hadn't heard about that before.
right? And I'm wondering if you have a cellmate. Does he get, you each get a roll, and is he stealing yours? You're stealing his. Who's keeping an eye on my toilet paper? It's become the precious commodity now. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah. But according to this guy, now he kind of kept comparing him to Scarface. Now Scarface was a fictional character, right? But um, different. He was a blow addict, and this guy was doing a lot of blow, but not dealing blow. Uh, But it just seems to me like, you don't think of weed kingpins as in the same stuff as you do with Tony Montana or that whole um, doing
No, I think
blow.
the Mexican cartel are definitely involved in it.
Yeah.
The Mexican cartel are involved in some stuff for sure.
Yeah, but this guy was dealing with well, I guess the Colombians were at the time just as deadly, right? They had that, you know, I don't know if they'd call them cartels, but they definitely had organized crime in Colombia that was running the whole weed game back in that day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that show Narcos.
Yeah. So our guest has arrived. You want to introduce him in, or you want to leave it up to me?
You can do it.
All right. Corbin Lemaster is a working comedian. He's from Springfield, Missouri, but seems to be on the road right now. I'm not sure uh, if he is truly on the road, but he's here now. He's actually showed up, the first guy to show up this week. Let's have a big hand for Corbin Lemaster. Corbin,
Hey,
welcome.
hey, how's it going?
All right, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Just got
You're
home
wearing
last night.
You're wearing the Zanies t-shirt. Now, are you
Yeah,
in Nashville
Zanies.
now?
No, I was in Nashville last week,
Ah,
and I just got home at like 3 a.m. last night, and then go back out on the road next Wednesday for like
good for you. You
2
you
weeks.
you loving the life?
Oh yeah, it's great. The road's the best place on earth.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, you get to go out there and do comedy, and people kind of kiss your ass sometimes if you do good, and it's fun, tell some
Yeah,
jokes.
right. But now, how long are you doing? Are you doing an hour show? Are you doing it 45 minutes, half hour? What are you doing?
No, I'm doing well, it just depends. Just spots some places up to like 30 minutes other places.
Okay.
Kind
So
of whatever I can get.
So you're on the road and you're filling your day with what? What? Because you work. I know
Uh,
you're not just working a half hour a day, even though people look at you and say, "Well, you just work a half hour a day."
right, right.
How do you feel? Because that's still a lot of time, man.
Well, I wake up nice and early, about 3 p.m. And no,
Me
I
too. I'm sorry. I'll wake up
exactly.
at 3 p.m. today.
There you go, perfect. I get out when I'm on the road. I like to walk around whatever town I'm in and check it out and see what places they got, and try to write jokes about the city or something weird about the town, and then spend time writing just that day, and then try to do museums or whatever. It's just trying to fill the time.
Yeah. No, I know the feeling. It could be very. And listen, I'm not a traveling guy, but even my gigs like 2.5 hours. It's a
Yeah,
2.5 hour drive each way is
right.
commuting, even if you're staying home. But so that sounds like a great thing because I love seeing new places and all that stuff. That's all exciting
Me
and
too.
new. How long you been doing that for?
4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
Through
Non-stop.
I'm sorry.
Non-stop.
Well, except for that 2 year break we all had to take, but
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, pretty
I was
much,
going to
pretty
ask the
much
same thing. By the
nonstop.
way, that's Dean. Dean, meet Corbin. Dean O'Hara.
Dean, nice to meet you.
He's he's our guest co-host for today. This is his third time doing it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, Dean is a big time comedy fan. I met him at a Billy Wayne Davis show here
Oh, I
in New
love Billy
York.
Wayne Davis. He's
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah. So are you touring with somebody? Are you on the road with somebody, or are you just
So I go on the road with Mark Norman quite a bit.
Woo, look at
Like,
you, big.
oh yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
We have a good time. We'll be in San Antonio next weekend, but other than shows not with him, I go on my own and do my own thing.
cool. Now you're playing pretty big rooms with him, right?
Yeah. Pretty much every show's sold out, and it's like every weekend, 5 or 6 shows at a comedy club sold out. And I haven't done a theater with him, but I'm sure they're packed as well.
The reason I ask is because, and you brought him up, and he's in New York, in Scarsdale, New York, on September 12th. A friend just opened up a club there. It's really small, and I'm sorry I don't remember the name of the club. I'll
Oh,
find out. But it's really small. It's like 30 seats complete in
oh,
the whole place, and it's like, wow, that's kind of small for Norman. Like, I mean, he's big time now. He blew up. He's like as big
oh
as
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, and everybody knows him walking down the street. It's horrible. Everybody's like, "Okay, queef, comedy, whatever," yelling at him the whole time. But he's probably just gonna work out on small stuff or new stuff in a small room.
Right. Does your comedy complement his? Because he's a nonstop joke writing. I mean, I've never
Yeah.
seen anybody as prolific as him. But
Oh, he's just
style
joke after
wise,
joke.
do you compliment him, or are you
Uh,
similar to him? What?
yeah, we're both joke guys. We both write a lot of jokes. Not really into stories much, but in that sense, I would say that we complement each other. But I mean, he's such a good writer. He's so much better than probably. Oh my! I mean, there you probably count on one hand guys who are better at writing jokes than him, and so in that sense, yeah, we're very complimentary. And a lot of times in the green room, it's bouncing bits and talking about jokes. Uh, so
I'll
yeah, in
tell
that
you,
sense,
my
we do
man,
compliment.
every comedian that who has been on this show or is watching the show, and I've had some pretty decent big names, but I think every comedian that's hearing this, like hanging out in a green room with Mark Norman, got to be a little bit jealous of you, man.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, yeah, like my friends get jealous and stuff, but
Yeah,
it's kind of insane because when I started comedy, Mark was like a guy I looked up to, and Mark wasn't even anybody; he was just a comic.
I know.
And I loved his podcast, and I loved Joe List. And then ended up working with him just randomly one time, and we kind of had a good relationship then. And then over time, it's kind of built up. And so now we're I don't know if we're friends, but we're friendly.
Yeah, very
And
cool, man. I that's it's such a good feeling because I know rock stars. I grew up, it just they were heroes to me, and now I have
right,
their phone numbers in my cell phone. I
right,
can call them up and say, "Hey, man, happy birthday," which I did just the other day.
yeah,
But
that's so fun.
I know, very. It's a little
It feels
weird,
like you're in there,
right?
you're doing it.
Right.
It's
Uh,
awesome.
now, are wife, family? You got any of that?
Oh yeah. Well, not a wife, but close enough to a wife and a daughter.
Yeah, and they're supportive of what you're doing.
Oh yeah, they're great. We've
Difficult on a relationship to be on the road all the time, and
Yeah, I mean it's not easy. A lot of texting and FaceTiming stuff like that. But we make it work. We figure
yeah,
it out.
that's cool. I kind of with the young comics, I stress that it's so important if you're going to be in a relationship to have somebody who supports what you do, but also
Yeah.
for you to be honest about it up front when you first meet that person and say, "Listen, this is who I am. You got to understand.
Right.
I'm not the guy who is gonna go 9 to 5, come home every night and want dinner
Right.
on the table."
Yeah,
that
no, it
that's a
ain't
big
that.
yeah. I think that's where a lot of problems start. Is you're not because I have a drummer I work with. He goes through relationships like and I was
Oh
like, "Do
yeah,
you ever
yeah.
have that conversation up front? Like, this is what you can expect of me, because that would
I
solve a
feel
lot of.
like I feel like you have to, like, otherwise you're going to be gone, 2/3 of the time, and they're going to think you're just not there. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
well, this is,
like you don't care, but it's
yeah,
just.
it's the job though too.
So with this, when did you kind of make up your mind that you were going to be a comedian?
Uh, Honestly, I went through like kind of a crazy like quarter life crisis type thing. Had like a big breakdown and all this, and I always loved comedy since I was a kid. But to me, I grew up in like southern Missouri. There's like one comedy club in 300 miles. So I thought comedians were just people in California. That's how you did it. Like you had to be in California. So I just never thought it was a thing. And then I go through this whole big breakdown, and the comedy club closest to me, I just decided to go up one night, and I was hooked, and here we are.
Wow. So was it you just went there, signed up and for an open mic
Yeah.
and waited for it to be called? That
Yep.
takes
Pretty much.
that.
I mean, yeah, just showed up. And what's crazy is, like in high school, I was the kid who would fail a project if I had to present it. Like I would not get up in front of the class. I did not want to talk to people. I could not carry a conversation.
Yeah. No, I understand. Public speaking they say is the number one fear, even more scary to some people than death itself is this idea of public speaking.
So what
So
That's what they say.
made you be able to do that, overcome that fear and get the confidence to do comedy?
I honestly don't know. Like, I think it's honestly the first time it went pretty well. And so I think that's the only way I was able to keep doing it. Because if
Okay.
I would have bombed hard, I don't think I could have got back up there. But to just, I honestly don't know. I think it's because it's a one-way conversation. I don't have to worry about somebody else replying to what I'm saying.
all
Oh,
right,
So it's,
let me follow up on that, because you were talking about being in class and nervous in a presentation thing. Now, to me, that speaks to the familiarity with the audience, like you're seeing people
mhm.
and being nervous like that. So in the comedy club, your first time there, were you alone? Didn't bring any friends, and if so, did you sit them in the back of the room so you couldn't see them? That kind of thing.
I did bring friends because in my head I told them all, I was like, even if I do bad, just laugh so I can get through it.
Yeah.
But it turned out I did pretty good. But then since then, it's like, please don't come see me if you're my friend. Like, I don't want anybody there. I know I can feel everybody judging me. I don't need it. And so,
I hear that, man. Recently, Dean and I were at the Doug Stanhope show, and
oh great.
we weren't there together, but I know he was in the same room as me. But Stanhope does not like people he knows sitting up
No.
front, and the people I was with were insisting on sitting. And they'll deny that this was their fault, but sitting in the very front row. So I'm right up on the stage, and Morgan Murphy was his opening act, and
Oh, she's funny.
she introduced him. He comes out, he looks at the room, he goes, "Oh, I remember that Matt Napo. Who sat him in the front row?" Oh, here we go. Now the whole place knows I'm a dick.
Right. It's funny. Most headliners and comics, they do not want people. They don't even want to see people they know. They're like,
Yeah.
if they invite people like friends, family, they're like, just I'll talk to you after. I don't want to see you, and stuff like. It's crazy. There'll be people come to a show like all weekend, and they sit in the same like front row. It's like,
Right.
you've seen the jokes. I don't know why you're still here.
Well, I can appreciate that too, though. But as a fan, I definitely would not want to be in the front row. If it were my
No.
choosing, I would not want. Because
Maybe one show, but if you're going to come to all of them, go to the back for the rest.
Yeah. But I definitely enjoy, because sometimes you laugh so hard, and you after one show, your face is hurting from laughing so hard, your stomach is hurting, and then it's like, I wish I could remember some of those jokes, because I was in such a state of euphoria that I can't even remember half of it now. So that's what a second night
Right.
does for me. It gives me the idea, at least.
Oh, there you go.
it solidifies the memory a little bit.
Well, I guess also, uh, I guess seeing somebody's act a second night is kind of like watching a movie again, though.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
you catch up on all this little stuff that you missed the first time.
right. Are you
If
that
you're a stoner, it's like you're watching it for the first time.
Say that
Yeah,
again.
If you're a stoner, it's like you're watching it for the first
Oh yeah,
maybe a stoner, yeah.
yeah.
Are you a stoner, Dean?
I guess so. But
Now, just to you for a second. With the because you had a traumatic brain injury with the stoner stuff. Does that complicate things for you?
no, I mean it's good for depression and
Yeah.
it's good for anxiety. And I have a medical card actually.
Uh,
Uh,
Now, last time you were on the show, right after the show, you went and macro dosed on mushrooms, right?
oh yeah.
How was that?
It was a little. I mean, it was a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I threw up and stuff.
Are you do you partake in any of the substance stuff, Corbin, or
I'll dabble, but nothing crazy.
right?
Weed and mushrooms,
Do you
but nothing
for
wild.
not while you're performing though, right?
No. It's always after.
How about for writing? Because Carlin always said that weed was a great tool to
Punch
open
up.
up a window for punch up stuff. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think it's good to double write some of your stuff. Like if you sober middle of the day, just sit down to write a bunch of jokes, and then go back over them when you're in a different, if you get, smoke a joint or whatever, and then just get giggly and silly, and you get kind of these different thoughts.
yeah. I definitely now Missouri legal
Hmm.
there yet or not?
Medical, but I don't have a
Medical,
card.
right? Oh, you don't have a card now
Nah.
here in New York. It's so messed up because it's legal, medical and recreational, but only you can only buy medical right now. There are no recreational dispensaries open, which is kind
Oh,
of
okay.
Well, there are, but they're not legal.
they're not
Oh,
legal.
they're not legal.
Well, okay, that's
They've
that.
always been that way.
Yeah, like somebody told me yesterday. Was it you, Dean? Somebody mentioned that there's a van, the weed van in on call mentioned it in New York. It says the weed van on it, and it's
Oh,
like,
I've seen it before. I saw it. Yeah.
yeah,
In
uh,
LA, they have like a delivery service, like Uber. You have an app
Well,
and
I
you
go
say,
to
"Hey,
like
I
a
need
smoke
this," and
shop.
y- yeah. My medical dispensary has delivery.
oh, that's
Uh,
good. I mean, that's
Oh, okay.
yeah, they charge you
convenient for
$20,
you.
but for me, it's so far away that it makes perfect sense to
Yeah,
pay an extra $20 to have it delivered. Sometimes.
yeah. Hell, it's only $20.
I think about the old days when they'd rob an armored car. You just because those weed vans come up, they're packed with
Oh
the
yeah.
best weed.
I wonder how they get away with driving around so much. I guess
No,
under
they have
the
like
banner.
this. Like they do like a deal. Like you can give it away as a gift. So you buy like some like card or something, and then you
Yeah.
get the weed as a gift, and then it's not
It's like their
illegal.
workaround.
Yeah.
Workaround. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with writing material now, do you need to go? Do you need to go to like an open mic nights to work it out, or you? Because again, I hate to sound like I only know one comedian in the world, but
No, you're good.
Carlin used to
I love
write
Carlin.
stuff out longhand and practice it in front of a mirror, and then practice it in front of his wife and friends or something.
Right.
What is your routine for like developing new material?
So I try to write every day. Of course, sometimes it doesn't happen, but I'll write every day, and then yeah, I hit like probably 2 mics a week, and it'll just be all new stuff. Just seeing if anything hits, and then if something, even if it's just like a little chuckle, then there's something there, and then I'll take that and work that over. And if it's kind of getting something, then I'll take it to the weekend and work that over. And just it's just constantly saying it, breaking it down, trying it a different way. and stuff like that. I mean, each joke is just a little project. You know, I mean, it just takes these steps of writing, going to an open mic, saying it 10,000 different ways, and then a year later, it's in the show.
Okay, now that's where I wanted to get to. Like when you're writing something and originally it's not getting the reaction that that you thought it would right off the bat. Do you stay committed to it and say, I know this is funny, it just needs to be reworked away? And how long? How committed? How much energy do you put into saying, I know this is funny, I know I can make it work. It's just a matter of tweaking it here and there. How much would you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, that depends on the joke, really. If it's something I really like and it's like, oh, this is fun to tell. Like I have a joke about like trans athletes right now. That's just it's a lot of fun to talk about just because people get kind of on edge with that type of stuff. But there's times where it doesn't work. And so
Yeah.
being in that joke is kind of hard to play around with just because of the crazy stuff that you talk about with trans athletes or whatever. And then so it's literally like, okay, I'll say this part at the beginning now. I'll try this part in the middle. And if it doesn't work, I'll try this one at the end, or I'll just break it down and try rebuilding it from a different angle.
All right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Now, I'm glad you brought this up because I've had it with the word police, joke policing, and
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
it's just, to me, it's like we've gotten to a point where we're crushing every piece of creativity out of anybody because you have to be really careful. It doesn't sound like you're being all that careful though, but
Nah.
the question is, like for a comedy club versus being on a podcast, there are things even. And I think, I know I'm just all over the place with this comment, but you have to get to a certain level of superstardom before anybody really
Mm-hmm.
wants to cancel you. But still,
Yeah.
at your level, are you really being like walking on eggshells with developing stuff and saying, I can make a joke about trans athletes, but I got to be really careful in the way I do it?
I mean, to an extent, just naturally, I feel I'm a good person most of the time. Like I don't
But
like have
people
any of
don't know
these.
that about you. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
but that's where it starts. Is like, okay, I know I'm not gonna say anything like, oh, we should burn them all in a fire pit or something crazy. And so you know what I'm saying? I start there, and it's like, okay, I know what side of the line to fall on, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, I
but
get it.
and honestly, I don't want to upset anybody. I don't
But
want to piss people off.
to your point, I feel like I'm a good person too, and like I'm not going to say anything that would make people want to hate me. But then some things I will say, like just as a joke on Twitter, and light people on fire, like I'm like Hitler all of a sudden. Like
Yeah.
I made a
Well,
joke of
that's where people with like no sense of humor, like they shouldn't come to comedy shows.
right,
Like if you get upset at a joke, then you have more going on in your life.
right.
You're just, this is your outlet to scream at someone. And like Twitter and online, that's just become the thing. Is like, let's find something that makes us angry, and we'll just attack it.
Right.
And
Now, I think from my perspective and what I'm seeing, especially on Twitter, is I'm seeing older comics or it's two things. I'm seeing older comics who are no longer all that relevant and not working that much more and have too
mhm.
much time to spend on Twitter, and young comics who are just starting out who are frustrated with no success yet. Those are the
Yeah.
two groups that attack comedians more than anybody. It's not necessarily the general public. It's other comedians, either guys who were once more famous or more
Mhm.
productive than they are now, who ran out of relevance, and they're on Twitter 24 hours a day picking apart
Oh, that's all
everybody.
they do.
Yeah, and or the young people were just frustrated with that. So it's not just, it's people within your own
Your own
brotherhood.
circle, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like the older guys who are kind of maybe out of the most of them weren't that good to begin with. To be honest, I mean, let's be honest. Like a lot of those TV
No,
guys,
I
they're
hear.
not that great. Uh, but I mean, they're good and they had their day. But they only can. You get to this point, I think, which I don't know. 4 people on Earth know who I am, but you get to this point where people know you have to go this one certain way with the people you have around you, otherwise you're cast out. And so I think they get kind of in that world and forget about the comedy world of it,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's where they get
No,
crazy
but
with
I
it,
found
you know.
like
Well,
the trans jokes that Norm Macdonald made on his special. They
Hmm.
were stupid. I don't think they were very good at all. I just don't
His
think they
newest
were
one.
funny. The ones he made on the one like the
nothing special. The most recent one.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think they
I cut him a
didn't.
break. He was dying.
yeah.
Well, he was done, but I didn't think they were that funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be funny by yourself
Yeah,
staring into a webcam too, uh, when you're sitting there dying of cancer.
yeah. Be
Uh,
fair. Be fair about this, team. The guy had a
yeah.
microphone like this. He didn't, and basically he's telling jokes, knowing he's going in for an operation tomorrow that might kill him, and he
Hmm.
knows he's been battling cancer for like 9 years or whatever. And that's a hard. Yeah, it's really difficult. It's not a.
That drive that I couldn't sit through the whole thing. But he had a few premises in there that were really gold,
Yeah.
and given stage time and more lifetime, obviously, there was a couple chunks in there that would have been real awesome stuff. But Norm is so great, and he was one of the
Yeah.
best ever. So it was nice just to be able to see, like, oh, he was still working right up to the end. He was
Right.
still writing jokes, still trying to get the funny out.
And back to what you said before about knowing you're a good person, and that guides you in what you can write. Norm Macdonald has a reputation for being, or had a reputation, I should say, for being like obsessed with homophobic jokes and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I think
deeply
any
closeted.
anybody who knew him, and even people who didn't know him, if you could see from a distance how emotional he got with people like David Letterman when he said goodbye to him, or
Hmm.
at Saget's roast and all that, know that this guy's of a good heart. He's not a
Yeah,
hurting person, not somebody who's hateful or holding that. He just like found homosexuality to be a silly thing and joke worthy. And I
it
think
is.
anything, right, anything in the human condition should be
Well, if
acceptable to joke
if you
about.
can't laugh at yourself, then I mean, what can you laugh? You know, I
Right,
mean, if you're a gay, it's funny that you're gay. Like, what does it matter? Like, let's laugh at each other. You know?
right. Now, recently, Andy Richter, I found this thing on YouTube, and it was after Norm passed. Andy Richter talking to Conan about how uncomfortable Norm made him feel about with his homo jokes, and
Uh-huh.
and like he would. How do I explain that to my friends who are homosexual or my family members who are homosexual? That
Hmm.
I stood there, but now to me. And I'm not asking you to pile on Andy Richter with me, but to me, that first of all, the weakness in attacking a guy after he's dead when you didn't bring it up to him while you
Yeah.
sat there for years and years is a weakness. But there's also the point that I made is that did you ever talk to your homosexual friends or family about this? Because I'm pretty certain they wouldn't be as upset as you think they are about it. They
Right.
get the joke and laugh about it. And I think that's
Well,
where we are in culture right now. We're assuming people are going to be offended, but we don't ever talk to them and say,
right.
"Do you find that offensive?"
What's funny is so much of that stuff, like, well, with Andy Richter, he was obviously, he didn't want to tell Norm because Norm's big, and now that he's dead, he can apologize to his friends who were pissed at him. And
Right.
so, I mean, that's a cop out. That's messed up. But uh, as far as like talking about like not picking on, but being equal with every group, uh, you know, it's one thing if you're like attacking gay people for being gay. Like, okay, you probably shouldn't do that. You probably shouldn't attack people for something they don't have. But if you're just making a funny joke, like about whatever, like, oh, I saw two gay guys holding hands, and and one of them fell and the other guy fell into his ass, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like something stupid, then like it's you're just having fun and everybody should loosen up.
Yeah. No, the classic, the classic one from Norm, and I'm gonna butcher it, but where he says, "Gay Pride Week, I saw a father wearing I'm proud of my gay son," and he says,
Yeah.
"Well, that's a weird thing to be proud of." I mean, basically, you can imagine a guy here. My son
Yeah.
just graduated from Harvard. Here's a picture, and he goes, "Oh yeah, well, I got a picture of my son sucking a cock."
Yeah.
Um,
You have a great Norm. That's a good that's a good impression.
thanks.
That's such a great joke. I love Norm, his jokes. Some of that moth joke he told on Conan about I mean, it
Yeah.
takes him 5 minutes to get through the setup, but it's so good.
Yeah. Now, I think that's a lesson for anybody who's going to be a guest on a talk show, even if in the world of podcasting now, which is taking over for talk shows. What Norm set up there with his Conan appearances was a typical thing. He would go to a joke book and find an old joke and
Hmm.
make that into an actual story and tell it as if
Right.
it's something that really happened to him. Classic stuff, but it worked for that format like nobody else ever figured out. So kudos
Well,
to
that's
Norm.
as good as Norm was as a stand-up. He was 10 times better on panel. Like
Right.
I mean, he was coming in sniping jokes when he wasn't the main guest. He was crushing when he was the main guest. After he died, there's like a compilation on YouTube of all Norm's appearances on Letterman. It's like 4 hours
Right.
long. I
Right.
just
I
sat down
seen
and
it.
watched it. I mean,
I
it's so
watched
good.
that,
It's just,
man.
I'm
So
sorry.
good. I
Oh, it's
watched
great.
it. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was at two of them. I went to
Oh, wow.
yes, and you know what? I didn't realize what a special treat it was at the time. It's like
Yeah.
something that happened to you, and you're like, man, I wish I would have cherished that moment a lot more after it. When I realized he wasn't going to be with us forever. You kind
Well,
of
yeah,
think
of
about that.
course.
If we could come back to Norman for just a second, because do you get a
Mhm.
chance to talk to him? Because he blew up. He went from relatively just feature act to like one of the biggest stars in just a really short period. Do you get to talk to him about how basically how that happened, but how he handles going from because that's a
Mhm.
really quick leap, really fast, and a quick adjustment. I would think as mentally and emotionally to be able to handle. And just going from
Yeah.
I'm a regular guy, a regular working comedian, to now one of the
Mhm.
biggest stars in the world.
Well, what's crazy is when I first met him, the first time we worked together, we went to a bar after the show, and he was sitting there texting people, and this was before he put his special out on YouTube, and he was telling me, he's like, this sucks, nobody wants to buy my special. He's like, it's gonna be horrible. And then he was telling me about how, oh gosh, I don't know if I should say, whatever, he won't ever see this. We were talking about how he put out a special on Comedy Central. He put out an album, and then Amy Schumer produced a special on Comedy Central for him. And then he couldn't get anybody to buy his own special, so he was going to go back to the albums. I was like, is that pretty bad? He's like, it's not good. He's like, it's really bad. And he's like, I think I'll just put. He's like, I already shot the special. I guess I'll just put it on YouTube and hope for the best. And that was in like January of
right,
2020.
yeah, right when COVID hit,
Yeah.
exactly when COVID hit.
And
Yeah,
so he's like thinking his career sucks, blah blah blah. And then like 6 months later, he's the biggest guy. And now talking to him, he knows what he's doing, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Like his kind of persona on podcasts and shows is kind of aloof, but
yeah.
talking to him, he understands like, okay, I'm bumping up, I'm moving up, I have to keep moving. And he's very much a guy where he understands it's a marathon, but you have to take these little sprints. You know what I mean? Like he's hot right now, and so he's making a run. He's getting on Rogan every 4 months or whatever. He's really doing good. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we talk so much specifically about it because he's very humble. He's a very humble guy.
No,
He
that
doesn't.
strikes me because it
Yeah.
strikes me as he doesn't realize that he's one of the biggest stars in comedy right now. I mean,
Secretly, I think he does. But if you told him that, he'd be like, "Nah, you're crazy, whatever."
yeah,
But alone, in the green room a couple times. We've talked about him blowing up, getting big, and I think he's pumped. I think he's excited. And
Do you take any lessons from that you can apply to your own career and your own like career path? And it's hard to think like plot out a career. I don't think anybody in who's a creative can really do that. Like this is my next step and all that stuff. But do you take any kind of lessons from that or mindset about where you're going to go with
are you
that kind of
there?
stuff? Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, I cut out.
I lose you. Basically, I'm asking you if you take any lessons from that conversation or those conversations with a guy like Norman and kind of think in terms of your own career long term and how do you apply those lessons?
Yeah, I mean, every single weekend that I'm around him, it's nothing but comedy school. I see how he treats people, how he treats just everything from his openers to the staff to how he treats the people during the show to his writing. He spends all day doing podcasts and he writes. And so just seeing that is a huge lesson. And he'll dump these little bits of knowledge that he's not really telling me, but just being that advanced of a comedian, it's just a natural thing for him to say. And so that's a huge little nugget sometimes.
Yeah. Cool.
And so it's a constant learning. Before I start going on the road with him, like in my scene at home, I'm like at the top, I get on all the shows. It's not that big of a deal. And so I kind of had this maybe inflated ego about comedy and how good I was. But since going on the road with him, it's been kind of a wake up call, and it's helped so much because now I'm writing differently. I'm writing more. I'm changing how I write. And so, yeah, it's pretty much comedy university from the time we meet up till the shows are over.
Good for you, man. I'm happy this is happening to you because you know what? There's so many people, and you must be doing something right, and you must be a good person for this kind of stuff to be happening to you. So congratulations. And
try to think of it.
Yeah. What I say to everybody who appears on this program, I hope you get big enough that people want to cancel you.
Oh, I would love that. Bill Burr has the best way to not be canceled. They've tried to cancel Burr like 10 times, and he's like, whatever. I don't
think anybody can really be canceled. I think everybody they attempt to cancel only gets bigger. If you look at Chappelle now, or even Louis C.K. Louis C.K. lost his television show, but he still sells out anywhere he goes. He sells out giant rooms. His album wins a Grammy. I don't think you can really.
There's good and bad. There's you look at somebody like Louis. I mean, he got canceled in the sense that he doesn't work mainstream anymore. He's not in Hollywood anymore. He's fighting his way back, and I do think he'll probably get back to where he was. It just takes time. But then you look at a guy like Shane Gillis, who was canceled, and it
made his career. It
did, but don't tell him that. He hates that. He does not want to hear that shit. I worked with him once. I told him that, and he visibly got mad. So I was like, that's a horrible idea. And but you look at him, he's definitely got a great career, but maybe it would have been way better had he got on SNL. He could. I mean, looking at what he does on his own with Gillian Keys and all that, it's obviously he's so much better than anybody on SNL.
Yeah.
And so, from an outside perspective, it could have been better. It could have been worse. Who knows?
The biggest douche chill moment I've ever seen was Shane was on douche chill is when you feel embarrassed for somebody. That's what I call douche
I like
chill.
That. I get those every day.
he was on Rogan, and they were having this deep conversation, and Rogan started to get lost, and you could see Rogan was a little high, and he started getting lost in thinking about what they were saying. And Shane said something that was really funny, and Rogan was just kind of spacing out for a minute, like, "Huh, what?" And you could feel like Shane feeling like he bombed in front of the biggest audience in the world, because you don't want to. You're on Rogan's podcast. You want the host to laugh at what you say. You think it's really funny, and then you get this, huh? What'd you say? Oh yeah.
Well, what's crazy is I've talked to Mark about Rogan, and he's like, Rogan's tough. He doesn't just laugh to carry you in a joke.
Right.
And that what Shane told him, he's talking about getting canceled and how he'll just go on Joe Rogan, and that was the punchline. What's funny is, like, I've heard Shane tell people that several times, like just on podcasts, and then in person he even said it, and he it got a big laugh, and then when it didn't get a big laugh on
Right.
Rogan, you
Yeah.
could visibly see it was so bad.
That is the
But
moment you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but the clip blew up because it was such a awkward moment. People loved it.
Right, right. And the first time I saw Norman on Rogan's podcast, you could tell there was a little bit of nerves there. Like this
Mhm.
was a big moment for him. This was right before that special came out, I believe, and it was like, you know what, this is the test. This is.
Yeah.
It's funny how. You if you could go in a time machine back like 15 years or so, would you ever predict that Joe Rogan would be the career maker, or like Oprah was for
Right.
authors in her day, for comedians? But
What's crazy about Rogan is I remember, because Rogan to me is the Fear Factor guy. He's the
Yeah.
weird guy. And so when I saw a few years, like after Fear Factor, I saw him advertisement for him doing comedy, and in my head I was like, oh, he's just another actor. He can't get a job. He's starting a comedy. I didn't realize he was a comedian this whole time.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so to me, he was just like some Fear Factor guy trying to do comedy, blah blah blah. And now he's, the biggest guy on earth.
right. So do you in from your part of the country now, and maybe because you're on the road, you probably see it even more, but this idea that comedians, it seems that everybody in America wants to be a stand-up comedian now. No.
Yeah, it's popular. It's very popular. We need less. There's a lot of bad comedians,
Well, when you
and
say we need less, don't you think the universe will take care of that on its own?
oh, it will. It will. I was hoping the pandemic would take most of them out, but there are a few guys who can get up there and just bomb every single night, and they don't seem to realize it. But for the most part, they try it a few times and then they're done.
Yeah, you
I,
know what?
what I see mostly is people want to be a part of it. They don't want to be a comedian. They want to be a part of comedy.
Me.
They
That's
want to be
me.
there for the hang and that's you.
That's why I do a podcast. I love hanging out with comedians. I
Right.
love talking to them. I've been in diners and green rooms with them, and I love that
No, it's the
experience.
best.
I don't want to be on stage doing stand-up, especially at this point in my life. I
Mhm.
mean, I have a pretty fulfilling career doing music, but yeah, I definitely love comedians. I love hearing fresh perspectives. I love
Yeah.
to see people's minds that work. Somebody who thinks differently than I do and just has a different funny take on something. That is a great moment for me when I say, "Well, what made that? What made him think of that?" That's just that I
Well, that's
love
what's
that.
great about comedy is you start here, everybody knows what we're talking about, and then comedian takes it this way, and you're dying laughing. I love
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah.
it's all about the perspective. Get a big laugh with a different perspective than what everybody else is saying.
Now it's interesting because we're talking about this, and I'm saying the universe will take care of something. I've seen some comedians, and I'm not going to name anybody or shame them on this, and I don't want. That's not my intent here. But when I see people who are really certain they are a stand-up comic and they're aggressive and going at it, it's full of the dream, and it's clear that they have about as much talent for it as I do, or less. And I don't want to break their heart, but it hurts. To,
Yeah.
is Do you ever see like a comedian like take another guy or girl aside and say, "Listen, you're shooting too high for advice, or will you just let them fall on their own?"
Uh, I like me personally. I feel like I don't have any room to say anything. Like I'm just trying to figure it out myself. Uh, b- I've never seen anybody be like, "Hey, maybe you shouldn't do this." But there's definitely those conversations behind people's backs constantly.
Yeah, no,
You
I
know,
don't
like
even mean to not do this, but somebody who is acting Yeah, and I'm really skating on thin ice here because I don't want to out anybody. Somebody who's acting like they've already made it, like they're a superstar already.
I
You've been
see.
doing open mics for 6 months. You're
Okay,
treating
yeah.
yourself like you're Bill Burr or like you're, Dave
Mhm.
Chappelle, top of the world, and acting like that and like slow down. You're gonna burn out, and
Right.
you're gonna find out that if you go too hard at this and expect too much from it,
Yeah.
you're going to burn out and realize it's got all a huge disappointment. If you slow down and realize that comedy is a fucking marathon, by
Oh man.
the time it takes to
Yeah.
be establish yourself is a long time. Have a
Well,
little patience.
that's right. Comedy taking forever is when I really realized that comedy is what I want to do, because I was okay with it being 10, 15 years from now. I'm
Right,
okay with that.
right.
Obviously I want it quicker than that, but uh, I know it takes time. And to answer your other question, I definitely see that stuff all the time. Like there's a kid in our who had just started in our little scene here, and he like people are trying to book shows, and they're like, who has this much time, and he's telling people he's got 15, 20 minutes. It's like, bro, I've never seen you get a laugh. Like calm down with this all this time
Mhm.
that you got. Like comedy is so much more than just writing something and going on stage and saying it. You know what I mean? There's technique, there's joke structure, there's all this, and it just there's no way that kid has anywhere near 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? He doesn't have 2 minutes.
yeah. I know, and some of it. There's a big movement now, especially in the metro areas here, L.A., Chicago, in Miami. Comedy classes
Oh,
for,
yeah.
and I do think you can take somebody who's not a naturally funny person and build them a stand-up comedy act where they will be entertaining and funny
Hmm.
because of the delivery. But in doing this and getting to meet a lot of those people, I'm surprised how na- uh, naturally unfunny.
Yeah.
I don't know, yeah, or unnaturally not funny, whatever it is.
Yeah.
In social situations, they can't get a laugh in a conversation where some of the
Right.
people I know who can make you break up in any conversation probably could never do stand up. So it's the
Well, that's
craft and being funny are two different things.
it is. It's crazy. There's there's such a different stage funny than like being funny with your friends even. Like some people, like you said, can't get somebody to laugh to save their life. And then other people can kill their friends, but then when they get on stage, they literally can't even speak.
Yeah.
And then like me, like in personal life, like when I'm just sitting around, I don't say two words to people. Like I'm very, very, very quiet. Like I don't know what to talk to people about. But then, like right now, this is more of a performance than
Right.
sit down and have a chat. And so it's kind of I got lost in this thought, but it's kind of funny how that works out.
Yeah,
Comedy
yeah.
classes. Oh, I wanted to say this. Comedy classes, I think, are the biggest joke on earth. Uh, like, okay, if you want to have like a like at an open mic, like a comedy class, like okay, you got to move the mic. This is where the light will be. Try to tell somebody kind of how the rhythm of a show goes. Then I'm down for that. But to sit there and be like, this is how you should write a joke. This is how you should do that. I think that handicaps and handcuffs people because then again they're this mindset of okay, I have to write a joke like this, and maybe they will uh, focus on that too much and not find their voice, and they could end up not being like Norm. If Norm went to a comedy class, he's never going to sound the way he sounds now or the way he sounded before he died. And so I
Yeah.
think people in those comedy classes might be taking advantage of people a little bit much.
I hate to agree with you, but I have to agree with you. And the reason I hate to agree with you is because I have a lot of friends who actually teach them, and
Hmm.
it's kind of walking a because I don't think they do it with the intent of taking advantage of people. I think they're
No.
honestly making a living. But I have to say, out of watching this unfold, I have seen some people who've come out of comedy classes who have
Hmm.
become very successful comedians.
Yep.
I don't know if I tend to think they probably could have without the class, but the class definitely was there
Yeah.
stepping stone to get into it. Like, not everybody can do what you do, which was
Right.
go to a comedy club and sign up and just take a dare, or not even take a dare. You dared yourself to go up
Yeah.
and do that and find the bravery. I talk,
It's
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I mean is like if a comedy class helps you get to that point of actually getting on stage, then great.
yeah. I always talk about it as being the most courageous uh, art form there is, because you're up there all alone. You have nothing to hide behind
Mhm.
except a thin wire and a microphone. Do you
Oh
still
yeah.
feel that way after 4 years of doing it? Because I know the first
Oh
time
yeah.
you went up, you probably felt some of that, but
I mean, like going up at home, I don't really feel that too much anymore, just because I'm comfortable there. I can say whatever I want, and people will forgive me. It's it's home, but definitely going on different going. I Last week I went up at Zany's, and that was my first time there. I was definitely nervous before that. It's a big club, it's an important club. You got to impress people there, and so I was definitely going on nervous going on stage there. But like to go to a bar show, I don't really feel anything.
yeah, cool. Now I'm supposed to say goodbye to Gov's Comedy Club. We're on Governor's Comedy Club's network. Generally, this time I have to say goodbye. I'm going to ask them to bear with me for a few minutes because I want to make sure. First of all, do you ever play? Any plans to ever come to New York area or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm thinking about coming in November for a week and try and do spots all over.
We got to see if we can get you in Governors.
I'm
We're
in.
part of that network. Do you have shows before we say goodbye to Gov Comedy Network? Do you have shows coming up that you want to plug or let people know about?
Yeah. So I'll be in at LOL San Antonio with Mark Norman next weekend, and then I'll be in Austin the week after that. I have shows on Sunday at the Green or at the Green Jay, and then on Thursday at the Pershing, both at 8 o'clock. And then I'm headlining the Social Room in Colombia in October. I'm headlining Joplin Coffee House. Nobody's gonna listen to that.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna. Yeah,
So now
the Austin ones come to the
I have
Austin.
your Facebook page, but is there a website or anything, or a place where people can follow you more closely than just a Facebook page, or is that the place to go?
No, Instagram. Go to Instagram at
Eh,
Corbin Lemaster _. That's what I spend most of my time on.
I will get that link and put it in the description after the program so people